Welcome back to Dash for Adventure. Today, we're at a fort in the middle of a city. Fort Negley, atop St. Cloud Hill, was built in late 1862 after the Union occupied Nashville. It was part of a complex system of defensive fortifications designed to protect the Union in Nashville from Confederate attack during the Civil War. They actually used the labor of slaves and free blacks. The Army built the largest inland masonry fortification in North America, comprised of more than 60,000 cubic feet of stone. Nashville emerged in the 1840s as a center of economic power in the Upper South. Between the turnpikes, the rivers, everything became a capital hub for commercial trade in the region. Educational institutions, artistic accomplishments, and architectural achievements brought new culture and refinements to the city in the 1850s. And between 1861 and 1865, the Civil War claimed the lives of over 625,000 Americans. Few communities, north or south, were left untouched. The War in the West, 1861 map. I think today a lot of people either aren't taught this or it just doesn't matter to them, but look how our great United States were split right down the middle. The Union was the United States of America, trying to protect the country itself from disbanding. The Confederacy was the Confederate States of America, a group of states that seceded so that they could continue to claim their states' rights, many people say, and they forget the most important part, their states' rights to own slaves. Fort Negley has fallen into complete ruins over the last century plus. And during Reconstruction, during racial tensions, it even became the site of many KKK rallies. You can see the base of the star-shaped fort at the top of this hill, St. Cloud Hill. We're going to see what we can find up there. So I've been walking around, Paul and I both have been walking around this fort, this beautiful area, and we were trying to hold off on introducing one of the most important characters of this video, and that is just how important Fort Negley is. It's so important, it is in absolute downtown Nashville, Tennessee. We keep hearing sirens and emergency vehicles, so if you continue to hear sirens, maybe not, you'll know it's coming from downtown Nashville, Tennessee. So we're going to the top of the hill now on this trail. So many of these grounds are protected and roped off with signs, and they do not want you crossing that because there are relics from the Civil War that are still in the ground up here. And archaeologists know this. And from time to time, archaeologists come up here and search the hill to find out more history and see what they can discover. This old fort was named after Brigadier General James Negley. It is rather surprising to see old trees like this right in downtown Nashville. While this fort was the most important fort ever built in Nashville for the Civil War, there were several other forts here as well. There was the Fort Morton, Fort Houston, Fort Gillem. And these were all downtown or around what was downtown at the time. But this fort stood on St. Cloud Hill and had a view of the entire city and all the approaching lands. Let's go in the Sally Port, which was the only entrance in to the fort back in the day. The fort fell into disrepair several times throughout its history. In 1928, it was repaired by the Works Progress Administration, open to the public. Then, because it fell into disrepair again, in 1945, they closed it permanently for many years. Now we're on top of the grounds inside the fort itself. There were two tiers. This top tier is where they could see the entire city of Nashville. Still today, you can see all the vast buildings and Nashville's beautiful architecture, like that guitar on that building off in the distance there. After the closing in 1945, it was eventually leased to the Cumberland Museum and reopened in 1974. It had a recent renovation in 2004, but it's also known that much of the fort and much of the things that were here are buried underground. So archaeologists come out here from time to time to see what they can find and discover more history about our past.
Fort Negley was built in 1862 from limestone quarried from the hill it sits on. It is the largest inland stone fort built during the Civil War.
As many as 2,771 laborers lived in camps around Fort Negley. These laborers were enslaved, self-emancipated, and free black people who volunteered or were conscripted. Despite promises of payment, only 310 laborers received compensation, and hundreds of men and women died during the construction of this and other forts around Nashville.
Fort Negley was constructed from 62,500 cubic feet of stone, 18,000 cubic yards of earth, logs, and railway iron. It covers 4 acres and measures 600 feet long by 300 feet wide.
And one of the most amazing things about this fort, it is right here in downtown Nashville. Multi-million-dollar properties dotted all around it. And this place has been preserved for history and our knowledge. Look at that. Nashvillians know, they recognize that as the Batman building because of the ears sticking up on the sides of it. And then right over there you can see the cranes, and that's where they're building our new football stadium, which sits right beside Nissan Stadium right over there. And of course the river flows between the stadium and these high rises here in Nashville.
After Washington, D.C., Nashville was the most fortified city during the Civil War. The city's existing transportation infrastructure comprised of the Cumberland River and the networks of railroads and turnpikes made the city valuable in moving supplies and troops to where they were most needed.
Look at that stairwell, built out of the limestone quarried from this hill itself. This place and many of the places that we feature in our videos are usually just right out in our back door, within an hour, maybe 2 hours of where we live. We do travel all across the country, but sometimes you can find adventure right in your backyard. Look at these grounds, they're beautiful. So this is down on the second layer again. And those plaques, unfortunately, are just blank now. But the history is still here. Fort Negley's importance in the Civil War has a lot of times been undisclosed. Many historians have looked back and realized that Fort Negley may very well have been the fort that secured the win of the Civil War for the Union. Its location, its proximity, where they could launch their campaigns southeast of here, cutting a line straight through the Confederate States of America to Atlanta. And General Sherman was campaigned from here. And General Sherman's march that tore Atlanta down, burned it to the ground, was launched from Nashville. If you find yourself in the Nashville, Tennessee area, take a break, come out to Fort Negley, absorb some sunshine and a beautiful day. While much of this hill was cut down to bring in Interstate 40, which is right there, you can see where the trains used to come in. There was a train track that came in right here to offload materials and men, load them up, and take them out from right here at Fort Negley in Nashville. So tell us, what type of national parks or historical places near you that are your favorite adventure places? Here's a plaque that talks about the building of Fort Negley. It talks about how this is the centerpiece of the federal fortification effort in Nashville. And it was named after Brigadier General James Negley, as I mentioned before. The fortification took more than 4 months at a cost of over $90,000. I can guarantee that was over, I think the conversion to today's dollars would be somewhere around $1.4, $1.3 million in today's money. Still a great price when you consider that they built an entire fort in a major city. Can you see it? Just beyond those trees, you should be able to see some headstones over there. That is Nashville's
City Cemetery.
City Cemetery right there. And the most important thing you need to know?
$5 fine for driving faster than you can walk.
Well, I wonder if that includes mall walkers.
Ooh.
There are several country stars, historical figures, and amazing people buried down there. Let us know if you want us to do a video on it. It's not too far from where we live. We can come back up here and shoot it anytime. Now we're down below the fort as we go on the outer wall. And this road circles the entire fort. We've seen several joggers and local people getting out, enjoying their day, and getting their exercise on. For many, this was considered the birthplace of freedom. A lot of the slaves that were emancipated after the Civil War, they considered this the place that gave them their freedom. Unfortunately, just after the Civil War, during Reconstruction, the Ku Klux Klan used this as a place for rallies. But the city put pressure on the organization, and that didn't last for long. Probably no more than a year, and they pulled out in around 1867. In 2019, Fort Negley received international recognition as one of the first U.S. sites designated as a site of memory in the UNESCO Routes of Enslaved Peoples Resistance, Liberty, and Heritage Project. Fort Negley was recognized for having over 10,000 attendees to the Juneteenth celebration. This final plaque we walk by, depending on how you go around it, it could be the first one. It talks about Nashville surrender. Nashville surrendered early on in the Civil War. Actually, it was on February 15th of 1862, barely a year into the Civil War. So while Tennessee itself didn't officially rejoin the Union until 1866, I believe it is, we were under Union control for the majority of the Civil War, meaning we were only part of the Confederate States of America for right at a year. I can tell you one thing for certain. Our past is our past, and it's part of our history, and everyone should know it and understand it and respect it. Because that flag says it all. We are the United States of America.
As many times as we've been to Nashville, I never realized that this was right here in the middle of Nashville. So make sure that you get out and you explore your dash and learn things about your community or a community that you're visiting.
Find your adventure. It could be amazing. Thank you, Nashville. We learned something today. We hope our viewers did too. Thank you guys for watching us on our little quirky channel. If you like the content we put out, please like and subscribe. It'll help support us in putting out new videos. We'll see you guys in the comments.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Goodbye.